This is my group, and we're developing Witt Carter Park. Come on. Isn't that like one of the
We're about halfway through the design process. The kids are doing a great job. They're having a really good time, really getting interactive with the design. We're seeing some really good designs go on the paper, and they seem to be having a real blast. So we're looking forward to seeing how they all come out at the end, coming up with a design they can take all the way to City Council. If they worked with the plan. As far as the housing goes, what I did is I brought this street through here all the way to Sierra Highway. Felt that this neighborhood is very secluded. I mean, it's very enclosed. There's not many ways out. It's hard to find your way out when you're back there. And that's just from experience. So we brought a street through here. I kept mostly single family down here, closer to the park. What I did is I brought the street down like some of you did. I brought it along the north side of the park, which I think is a really important aspect. Some of you touched on that, but it allows these houses, these people here to view into the park, which does two things. One, they get to see a nice view. Number two, they kind of become the police for that area. If they see something going on in the park, they call the police. By having the houses backed up to this thing and having a wall there, it tends to make this a huge 25-acre kind of hole in the wall, and there's no real access other than in the front. So having that street there allows police to go by and see in, plus all the residents, and plus it just is a more inviting yard to look at. Did the two basins in these locations here, had an open space area as people come in from the neighborhood. These red lines as you go through here are trails, walkways, DG paths, whatever, lined with trees so they can walk by the flood control basins. Two cul-de-sacs that come in here on both sides of this, and then houses fronting on, looking at the lake or the basins. Multifamily I kept here along Sierra Highway. Also created a large walkway, kind of paseo with trees and maybe benches and so forth happening all the way down here, all the way down to the far end, which ties in. So if someone's walking in from this area, they have a place they can walk, or anywhere from these houses they can walk down and get into the park at this location here. Community center, most of you had the community center towards the front, towards the south side. I think one design had it over here up against the houses. My concern there, same thing, was that having it kind of blocks off things that are happening back in this area here. So bringing it towards the front, and I also brought the skate park right into the front, because that is probably the most heavily used by a lot of kids that people need to kind of keep an eye on them. So when they're out here, we found that in the parkways, if they're out here where there's very visible, a lot less problems happen in the skate park than if they're tucked back in somewhere. Plus, you don't have any houses don't start until this location right here. These are all houses. This is all either closed buildings or old businesses. So having a community center and skate park, probably the two noisiest facilities right here in this corner, seemed to make sense. Brought the driveway in. I like to put parking. I think everybody probably had parking on the front there coming in. And one of the things that as a park designer I like to do is not see parking parking as I go by a park. Sometimes you can't help it. But what I tried to do here is to, plus it puts your people to use the park have to then park here and walk all the way to the back. By bringing it in with a kind of serpentine road and having the parking in the center, then people can park here, they can walk to the family area, the children's play area and so forth, or they can walk into the community center or head over to the basketball courts. I kept the full court basketball at this location right across, so I love the plaza idea, and I like the idea of the having the Whit Carter Monument. I think that's a great idea. So could have created that idea here. So as you drive in, you see that as you're going by it, and then you can come back. Going into the community center at this location, rock wall, great idea. Problem with it being outside, it's hard to maintain. So what we've done on several projects is actually put the rock wall inside the building. So it's very supervised, staff's there all day. So you park here, you go inside, you can come. There's a community center up in Northern California that has that. I actually did it. It's pretty fun. So great idea. It's a great thing that I thought was brought up. And then also what I did with this plaza, the community center, inside we would have a community room with a stage that you can open up these doors, and someone mentioned having maybe local community groups or bands or something come play. Well, they could use that stage, and then this whole plaza becomes a place for people to sit, kind of an amphitheater type of thing. So that kind of makes that a very multi-use facility right there. As you move, I like the idea of having more of the family-oriented playground things towards the back, because it does allow these people to come in. I have pedestrian access in from these two streets here, as well as the one that came in right here. And obviously, as you're coming down this new street, you have access in. All this green area is the only real turf in the park. It kind of becomes the play area for as you have an older kids playground, younger kids playground, even maybe a water spray ground that someone brought up. Walkways that go by. And then the dog park I put a little bit smaller right next to the parking. And someone brought up the fact, and it's a good point, that the city has a dog park. It's a real big city. And what we found in a lot of parks we design, that if you have one dog park but really nothing else, people want to come bring their kids, they want to do this stuff, but they have no place for the dog to go. So say a family wants to come, the younger kids can go play on the playground, the older kids go over here and play on the basketball while mom and dad, or just mom or dad, are sitting here with the dog in the dog park. So it kind of gives them still a place to go. It's a little smaller than what I had shown you on the template, but it works in nicely with this area, and it's right off the parking, so they can get in, out of the car, and pop right into it. Walking trails around the whole park. As someone mentioned, I think it's a great idea to label how far you've walked. So if you come in, it was I think it was a group right there, Group Blue Team, had been talking about that and had a field there. So having that as a kind of an exercise walkway, so as people are walking, they can say, I've walked a mile, I've walked 2 miles as they walk around the facility. Along the edges here, all buffered, a lot of trees to kind of help, buffer some of the noise and the people from going into, or from these people, and these residents that are already existing here. Let's see, I think. Oh, and then also, I didn't label it, I will label it. I had a bus stop at this location right here. So as you're walking in from these multifamily homes, you can be right here at the bus stop. You can take the bus to the park and walk into the community center and not have to take your car. So picnic shelter, large picnic shelter here for maybe 150 people. That's good to have close to the parking area, because if someone's going to use that, then they want to be able to get out of their car and get the stuff. They don't want to have to carry it halfway across the park. So having that at this location, it can also be used by the neighbors, having a big block party. And a couple, 3 smaller structures, about 30 to 50 people around the playground. So you have more than one. So if you want to have like a birthday party, you can come here, rent this one of these shelters, and use the playground and use the facilities. One other idea that came out that was great, I thought, was this idea of having a food vendor, something that kind of brings people to the park or brings them to the area. Problem with doing that on park land is you really can't give that land up to a public or to a private entity. However, we do have a lot of area in this corner that is either blighted or there's nothing there. And so my thought was we'd take that idea and move it down off the park site, but right close by, so that if you're over here in the park, you can walk over and get a snack or whatever that becomes, whoever moves into that spot. So that kind of creates a nice synergy there with the neighborhood too. They can walk down. There is a convenience store right here right now, so maybe that becomes a bigger version of that there on the corner, and also has good road. They like to have good road access. They're not going to get people from the park all the time, so they're going to be able to be seen by people driving by. So having it on this corner allows people to see that. I think that is it. Any questions? I think I get most of the ideas. Miniature golf is cool, although I just don't know if it would work in this neighborhood. The maintenance standpoint, we are actually doing a miniature golf course in Riverside. It's a little mini golf. It's not the typical of the clowns and all the. It's an actual real little water traps and sand and stuff. So it's kind of cool. So there's something you can do in parks. I didn't feel that was really going to be something we want to draw a lot of people coming from all over the valley to come use it. You get too much on the 25-acre park, and it becomes a little bit of a challenge. But a good idea. I like the thought. So, no questions?